All right, I think it's working now. All right, hi everybody. I'm very sorry for the very long delay. And this was my first time setting up a YouTube live event, so it was a little bit of a struggle. So I just am going to briefly go over SEDS-Canada's history and also the current events that we've been doing this year and a few years in the past, and also my thoughts on where I think the organization will be going in the future. So I'll share with you a few slides that I have. While I'm setting that up, I'm going to introduce myself. So my name is Roxy. I am the current president of SEDS-Canada, and I've been with SEDS-Canada for a couple of years now. I've managed competitions in the past, and so this year I wanted to become a more of a leading capacity. So I'm doing my PhD. I'm in my 4th year at the University of Toronto in Canada, and I'm studying cell biology of astronaut bones in microgravity. So looking at how astronauts lose so much bone mass while they're in microgravity and trying to find out what are the cellular mechanisms of how that happens. So for World Space Week this year, my colleagues at SEDS Earth, we decided we would want to discuss what each of our organizations do, and just to give you an idea of what you could possibly do in your country if you wanted to, or were thinking of starting up a SEDS chapter or SEDS organization. And if you want to follow along this week with other World Space Week events on social media, please use the hashtag Space Unites the World, which is also the theme for World Space Week this year. And then for SEDS Earth, please follow us on social media as well. We're on Facebook and Twitter, and we also have a very small page website that we just set up. It's very bare bones right now, but we are planning to put more content on there soon. So a little bit of history on SEDS Canada. So in 1981, Bob Richards, pictured here, he reached out to Peter Diamandis, who you might know started the first SEDS chapter at MIT in the US back in 1981. And Bob Richards was really fascinated by what Mr. Diamandis was doing and decided that he thought that in Canada there was just as much interest in something like SEDS. So he asked if he could maybe be a Canadian coordinator of some kind. And so that's kind of what started it off in Canada. It was really Bob Richards who paved the way for getting SEDS Canada up and running in Canada. And within that time, in the early to mid 80s, led by Bob Richards, they built a network of 15 chapters. They also distributed regular newsletters to their members and chapters, and they even obtained some enterprise-sponsored scholarships. So they really did an excellent job, considering there was no precedent of this in the past. So after that, in the late 80s, Bob Richards pursued other activities. You might know of the International Space University and Space Generation Foundation, which is now called the Space Generation Advisory Council, or SGAC. So he founded those organizations with his colleagues, Todd Hawley and Peter Diamandis. And so his focus shifted away from SEDS for a while, and that led to a pretty long period of inactivity in Canada with SEDS up until 1997. But in 1997, some new students kind of picked up where he left off, and it was reestablished. And they did a few really interesting activities for their chapters and members. The one being that they set up a multimedia space essay contest. So this is the late 90s when the internet was just becoming pretty mainstream, and designing websites was quite new as well. And so they wanted to do something really revolutionary, which was get elementary and high school students to design a space-themed website or content on a website. And it was quite successful. They got upwards of, I think, 50 applications per year from students, from classrooms. And they offered, they even were able to offer prizes. They had $1,200 of prize money to go towards the top 3 contestants. And this is a lot of money for the late 90s. So they did really well in that sense. But then there was another period of inactivity after that, between 1999 and 2005. And in 2005 to 2007, a new group of students picked up the executive committee activities and really wanted to focus on outlining what the organization would be. Now it's been already 20 plus years since the SEDS Canada had started, so they wanted to rewrite some of the documentation. So that includes their SEDS Canada Constitution, and their strategic plan and things like this. So they wrote a lot of those things during that period. Their webmaster also spent a lot of time and dedication developing the SEDS Canada website, and that really helped solidify the organization and bring together students and chapters all across the country who might otherwise not be able to communicate with each other, just because Canada is a very large country. And then also, later in that period, they also participated in the Canadian Space Summit, which is a really big conference in Canada for Canadian aerospace industry. So that's their annual conference, which is organized by the Canadian Space Society. And the CSS has actually been a long-time collaborator and partner of SEDS-Canada, still is today. So in 2007, SEDS-Canada, in collaboration with the Calgary Space Workers Society and Canadian Space Society, hosted CSS 2007, the Canadian Space Summit 2007, which took place at the University of Calgary on November 17th to 18th. It was a really big success and had over 65 participants, lots of speakers, lots of group presentations, topics ranging from astrophysics to analog missions, focusing on Western Canadian efforts in space research and exploration. And also SEDS-Canada hosted its general annual meeting at that event as well. So that's where the SEDS executive board or the board of directors gets renewed. We vote in the next bunch of students. So that was a big success. But then it went dormant between 2007 and 2014 again. So lots of dormant periods in our history. But I'm happy to say that from 2014 to today, we've been very active, and we've had lots of very exciting new things happening. So I just wanted to talk next about a few of the events that I've been a part of during this period of 2014 to present. And just quickly, I'll just introduce our mission. And if you are interested in learning more about how we put together our mission, how we put together our strategic plan or things like this, internal documentation, definitely let me know, and we can help you with that if you're just starting up your SEDS organization. So SEDS-Canada's purpose, its mission, to strengthen Canada's future in space by uniting students and professionals. We are committed to providing students with unique projects, research programs, and professional development opportunities in the Canadian space industry. And you'll see through some of these slides that I'm going to show that we've definitely been successful in providing these things to students in Canada. So the one that I've been involved very much in is CanRGX, which is short for the Canadian Reduced Gravity Experiment Design Challenge. And if you know the ESA's Fly Your Thesis competition, it's very similar. A little bit smaller scale in terms of what kind of experiments we can run and also the size of the plane. But definitely a big success story for Canada. So a lot of you might not even know that Canada has parabolic flight capabilities, but we have, and we've had this aircraft for quite a long time. This aircraft that you see in the top right corner is our Falcon 20 aircraft, which is owned and operated by the National Research Council of Canada. And the NRC, along with the Canadian Space Agency, were our partners on this initiative, where we came together and decided that we wanted to put together a competition for post-secondary students. So that's college and university students, all the way up to graduate students and PhD students, to have the opportunity to experience microgravity and also conduct some really cool science related to, it could be fluid dynamics and microgravity. We've had a variety of different projects in the past 2 years. So this started in 2016, and we have a 5-year contract with the CSA and NRC, or not a contract, but more of a partnership. And so now we're well on our way into our 3rd year. So we have 2 more years to really explore the possibilities of what this competition can be. And maybe beyond that, after our 5-year partnership is over, hopefully we can continue that or make it an even bigger competition. The students that get to go on the aircraft and conduct microgravity research, they also get to present their preliminary data right after the flight campaign, in Ottawa, Canada's capital, among a bunch of really cool aircraft at the Canadian Aviation and Space Museum. And if you see right behind the gentleman presenting, you can see the nose cone of a very famous aircraft in Canada, the Avro Aero. So it's a really cool space to be able to present your research to professionals, research scientists who might study microgravity, other NRC folks, people from the CSA. It's a really spectacular event, and it does a good job of closing off that year's competition. We've had lots of really positive feedback from these students saying that this competition has been one of the most amazing ones that they've been a part of. And these are students who also participate in rover challenges or rocketry programs and things like this. And there's really nothing like CanRGX, nothing else like CanRGX in Canada right now. So we're very unique in that sense. Here's just some pictures of some of the past participants. We've had students from University of Alberta, University of Carleton in Ottawa, University of Saskatchewan, and the University of Toronto. This past summer, we've had students from Queen's University. Yeah, so it's been quite varied, and it's open to everybody. And as long as you're enrolled in a Canadian university, part-time, full-time, college, university, graduate studies, it's open to all students. The other competition that has been very successful this past summer was the Canadian Stratospheric Balloon Experiment Design Challenge. So similarly to CanRGX, this is a design challenge where students form teams and then design a project to be flown on a gondola of a stratospheric balloon. So you can see the past summer, one of our students, Rahul, standing in front of an example of what a gondola looks like. So it's quite large, multi-tiered, and can carry a lot of science experiments. And you can actually see the CanSPX project right behind Rahul in the white Pelican case. So the experiments are quite small, but you can still do a lot of really valuable science in such a small little package. And in the top right corner, you can see one of the teams from the University of Alberta standing in front of one of the trailing balloons. So this isn't even the full-size balloon. It's just the balloon that carefully picks up the gondola once the large, true balloon takes off into the sky. So it just prevents the gondola from dragging across the tarmac there. So just to give you an idea of scale, so that's actually a small balloon compared to what it actually looks like. So this we do in collaboration with the Canadian Space Agency again, and the French Space Agency, CNES. So they've been extremely helpful in putting together this competition and have kindly given us 2 spots on their gondolas to put, so in a total of 2 experiments to fly on their gondolas. So this will continue again next year, and this campaign is held in Timmins, Ontario, quite an isolated part of Canada, but that's a good thing because we don't want our balloon to land too far away from the research base, or land in a city somewhere. So it's a very cool little spot. And this is just an image that was taken by one of the payloads. So lots of cameras and equipment like Earth observation equipment go on these gondolas. So you can really you can get some really spectacular images of the stratosphere once you're high up there. So that's just one image that was taken this past August during the campaign. Next, we've also participated with NASA's Space Apps Challenge. This will be the first year that we've participated in this. We've taken over the Toronto event, which is being held October 19th to 21st. In Canada, there's also 5 other Space Apps events happening all across the country, which is really exciting. And again, this year, we will be receiving some challenges from the Canadian Space Agency as well, which is really, really awesome. And I love that they're participating in this. So definitely check that out. And I definitely also encourage you to start your own NASA Space Apps event. It's very easy to be a host. You just have to have a venue with a strong internet connection, and just a willingness to learn about the cool applications that can be built, whether it's software, hardware, anything can really be submitted to NASA Space Apps. So look out for this. It might be a little too late for this year's event, but definitely look out for it next year, and apply to be a host. I definitely encourage it. Oh yeah, and another thing I'd like to mention is that this year the NASA Space Apps Toronto event is happy to be working with Ryerson University's Digital Media Zone, and they have this really cool spot called the Sandbox, an open concept area, so that students can pair up, get together, and work on their challenges. And it's right downtown. It's a great venue. The next competition I want to talk about is the Young Space Entrepreneurs Competition. This we run every other year whenever Act in Space is not being run. So next year, in 2019, is the next Y Space competition. And so applications are already being accepted for this. And same goes for CAN RGX and CAN SBX as well. Applications are open. This is our business proposal competition, where student teams get together and think of a cool concept for a business is space related, can put together a business plan and pitch it to a panel of experts. So these are people with startup experience, with business experience, who can really critically evaluate these business proposals, and we'll hopefully have some cash prizes and accelerator access for the top winning teams. So this, the business proposal pitches are going to be happening during our annual conference called Ascension, this year being held March 1st to 3rd, 2019. And it's going to be held at the Donadeo Innovation Center for Engineering at the University of Alberta. And if you don't know where that is, I put a little map here. There's Edmonton. It's quite a central location. And we're very, very excited to be hosting it there because it's actually the first time that SEDS-Canada is hosting its national annual conference somewhere outside of Ontario, which we're very, very happy about. There's a lot going on in Canada in the aerospace industry, and we don't want to focus all on Ontario. So we're coming for you, Edmonton, and really looking forward to this event. The theme this year is sustainability on Earth and in space. And we have a variety of different subtopics that we're going to touch on during this conference. So please consider attending if you're in the area. And if you become a SEDS-Canada member, which is only $12 a year, you'll even get quite a significant discount on your registration if you would like to come to Ascension 2019. Lastly, we also have been running an astrophotography competition on and off. I think the last one was in 2016. This was slightly before I joined with SEDS-Canada, but I am looking forward to starting this up again because I think the intersecting art and science together is really important. And so our Sky Pixels astrophotography competition definitely brings together artists along with astronomers, people interested in STEM, to take some really beautiful pictures of the night sky, nebula, whatever you'd like to take a picture of, and you can submit it to be judged at Ascension. And we might have some cash prizes as well. This is something that we've done in the past and that we would like to continue in the future. We also have a Discord channel for all our social media purposes. Well, it's actually it's a Discord server called Space Canada, and anyone can join this. There's a variety of different discussion channels that you can participate in if you want to post something cool in the space entertainment chapter, or law and entrepreneurship, STEM. There's a lot of different channels that people participate in, just to get to know other space geeks in Canada or even outside of Canada. If you'd like to join, there's a link on our website, SEDS.ca. Lastly, long-term plan. There's a lot of things that we'd like to improve on, and my role as president is really to make sure that we achieve everything that we've sought to do in our strategic plan. And some of the things I wanted to highlight were, we do want to increase participation in our competitions. So that means we want to get more applications. So definitely share these competitions with everyone you know. We want to receive as many applications as possible, and specifically from all across Canada. So that means, more applications from Western Canada, Northern Canada, and even maybe the Maritimes, where generally we're getting a lack of applications. We also have a plan to reestablish a lot of our dormant chapters. Like I mentioned at the beginning, back in the 80s, they had 15 active chapters, whereas today it's definitely a lot quieter in universities right now, because we have switched over to more of a individual membership structure. But we do want to reintroduce chapters as well, as being another way that students can find other members, participate in local events at their home university. We also want to engage northern communities. That means the Arctic. So we are working on a potential project to be conducted in the Arctic, and there'll be more details to come on that. But working with northern communities is definitely an important activity for us. Establishing long-term partnerships with industry and government. This is always there. This is always a useful thing to do, and we are working towards that goal. Building a strong social platform. Like I mentioned, Space Canada is our social platform, and we want to get more people participating in conversations. So we would like to increase the number of people who are participating in our Space Canada Discord server. Becoming a registered charitable organization is very helpful if you're looking to get more donor money, basically, for your organization, and you're able to hand out tax receipts. So it's very useful. So individual donors can give to us. It's better for organizations like industry, corporations, when they are looking to give money to nonprofit organizations. Having a registered charitable status is very helpful for them. Establishing an alumni network. So that means anyone who's been a past member of SEDS-Canada can find other past or current members of SEDS-Canada in their hometown or in their city, and get together with them. We would like to host small pub nights, maybe across Canada, for past SEDS-Canada members and executive people on the past board of directors as well. And finally, obtaining government grants. We are working closely, like I mentioned, with the Canadian Space Agency on several of our programs, but we definitely want to expand on that, and hoping to work even more closely with the CSA in the future. So that is about it for my presentation. If you have any questions about what I've presented here, I'm definitely interested in hearing about it. So I don't know if comments are activated on our YouTube channel. I don't think they were when I checked. This is something that I will bring up with our SEDS Earth YouTube host. If you aren't able to submit comments, I'm sorry. You can definitely post them in the Facebook post that I posted about this event. And I'd be happy to get in touch with you about what I discussed, or if you want to discuss anything related to SEDS Canada or your SEDS organization, I'd be really happy to discuss that with you. So thank you, everybody. And yeah, looking forward to your World Space Week activities. Please let me know what's going on in your community. All right, thank you. Bye.